What's up, everybody? I guess I need to start after this says recording in progress.
We're rusty.
Welcome to
We're
another
rusty.
welcome to another podcast. James is unavailable, but we got Nabil on here. Nabil, how you doing?
Good. Good. This is the day before I returned to Austin. My California tour, went really well. I had a lot of people at all my book signings and everything. And so it was good. It's good to be in Cali again.
Book signings?
I just call it a California tour and I didn't know what else to do for that joke. So
Yeah, I'm like, uh, I,
it's a picture book. I don't need that
yeah,
many words.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I don't remember you being quite with the novelist, but hey, proud of you.
It's a children's book.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, hey, we've got a couple of things that we wanted to go over. First of all, how excited are you for football to be back?
Honestly, I couldn't be more excited. Training camp starting. So I'm actually like, for some reason, I hadn't even thought about it in July, even June. And then all of a sudden, we start getting some emails and some conversation. Travis finally decides to choose the draft order. And now I'm excited. Like now I got to start binging all my podcasts. I got to start looking at, I don't even know. There are people who have moved around the league that I didn't even know they're on a whole different league on the whole different side of the country. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's hard to remember all the player movement when it doesn't affect you daily. I mean, did you see Randall Cobb is back in Green Bay?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the first move that Aaron Rodgers did in saying that he wants more say in the team construction. And I think that's just, a good leadership guy. He's probably not going to have too much impact, but you never know. Because after Devontae Adams, it's always been kind of who's the number two.
Right. But just point is it's, there's probably a dozen other moves like that like someone like signed with the team that is relevant to fantasy that I just missed the news on. So kind of like,
yeah, I mean, I think we'll kind of probably notice that if as we continue to all prepare for the draft, it'll also just be interesting, right? Like someone will draft probably someone thinking they're on the old team, and
right.
then underneath everyone will go like, wait, is that person in Cincinnati, or was it AJ Green is in Arizona? Like what?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, once it becomes our full-time jobs to talk about football, then we'll know all these moves. But while this is still just a side gig, we get paid in YouTube likes, or not even likes, just YouTube watches, dozens of views,
dozens.
Yeah,
we're happy if we get a dozen.
Yeah, if we hit a dozen, yeah, if everyone in the league actually watched it.
But yeah, I mean, how about you? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, dude, I watched an 8-minute interview with the starting quarterback for the 49ers this morning. Jimmy Garoppolo was just, kind of talking about training camp, and they asked him about Kittle, and they actually asked him about Trey Lance and everything that he feels. He's like, look, I just want a chance to compete. And I love the attitude. Like, that's exactly what you want to hear. Jimmy's been to a few Super Bowls, only one as a starter, but he's got a couple rings, and he was talking about how, you can tell, he's like, he basically was implying that this team, you can tell, like, we have the Super Bowl championship roster. Like, you can tell in practice, you can tell in meeting rooms. And look, every team thinks that every year, right? Like, the goal is to win a championship every year, but it to me, it means something to have it be said like that, kind of matter of factly, like, hey, like, we know we're going to be good. Their division's tough, but we know we're going to be good. And like, the goal is to go win a Super Bowl. Like, love that attitude from the guy who very easily could have, kind of been pouty and thought like, all right, like, my time here is done. So great. Yeah. As a Niners fan, I'm super excited. As a football fan, I'm super excited. Like, really looking forward to having football be on Sundays again.
Yeah, and I feel like you want me to come in and start already playing the opponent on Garoppolo, but it is August, so I'm going to go ahead and just system reset. Last season
it is July 31st. It is July 31st.
The people who are listening to this are listening to this on August 1st, and the real thing is, Garoppolo is a good team player, right?
Mhm.
Talent aside, he's good. He's a good foundational piece that we need, A, for a rookie, and B, for a team that, again, if all the pieces are there, injuries aren't, plaguing us this year, the offensive pieces start to really click. Of course, we're a playoff team. We're a Super Bowl team. I have no hate for Garoppolo. Just get Trey Lance in there as soon as possible because I don't know how I will feel if for some reason 4 losses come together real quick.
I just feel like you are like, here's the thing. If the Niners win, they're not going to get rid of Garoppolo.
No,
And
I'm just
like
going with the old jokes.
Looking at the schedule, it's not easy out the gate.
You gonna show me or what?
I can show you. Give me a sec.
Oh man, I thought you were saying when you were saying, because no one likes dead time, I thought you already had it up. But I actually know that I think whoever puts out the strength of schedule, I do believe that the Niners have one of the easiest schedules in the league this year. So
yeah, I mean, the last place schedule definitely helps. And here it is. Screw preseason, but like at Detroit, at Philly,
win.
Like, those should be wins.
Oh, we're doing this. Philly, win. Packers, loss. Seattle, loss.
It's got to be a win. They got to win. Like, if they got to beat Seattle.
Like, is this at home?
This is at home.
Oh, we have like
3 games.
Oh, there it is.
Sunday Night Football with the Packers. They've got to win 2 out of 3 of this in this stretch.
Which right? I think it's at Arizona is difficult. Whenever Seattle comes, obviously it's a tough game, but it's at home, so we should win.
But like, if the Niners, if they want to really compete this year, like, they've got to win these 2 games. They got to win 2 out of 3 here. They got to be 4-1 before the bye. And if they're not, then you're going to see Trey Lance come in right after the bye week. That's probably that's. But if they're 4-1 and they're rolling, well, don't fix what's not broken, right? So what I'm feeling is like, if you want Trey Lance in there as soon as possible, you're basically rooting for the Niners to drop a couple early games. Because
and again, I
know you're not, but that's got to be the case, right? Like 4-1, and they're going to keep rolling with Jimmy, assuming no injuries and all that good stuff. But like, worse than that, and they probably go Trey Lance by the Colts game.
Yeah, and I mean, even looking at the rest of this, if you want to just like scroll a bit, okay, Colts, that could be a win, especially at home. The Bears, we have no idea if it's Andy Dalton or Justin Fields. It's just
either way, it should be a win.
Talking about one of those names that's shocking, right? Dalton to the Bears. Guys all over the place. Cardinals. So this is like this stretch. This is our first game against the Rams, right?
Yes, and it's
by then we'll have a good idea how good Matthew Stafford is. And that offense, even with the injury to Cam Akers, hopefully for those who are listening, knew that happened. I think that offense is pretty scary. You have a competent quarterback who's been in the league, so nothing's really going to scare him, with competent wide receivers, if not, great, almost elite wide receivers.
Oh yeah, no, the Rams got better. Yeah, like, as much as like I will make fun of my Rams fans for like, I don't like how much better did they really get? Like, they did get better. Like, I don't think it puts them over the edge, but
See, I think our division by far is the hardest division in the.
Is
the most competitive.
I mean, like I'll admit that, like, Jimmy Garoppolo is the 4th best starting quarterback in the division. Like, Kyler Murray, like Matt Stafford, and Russell Wilson, like, are all like they all have higher, like they've all shown like more brilliance on the field than Garoppolo has. Like, Jimmy G has always been the system guy. Like, he's trying to, like, it's passes under 5 yards, under 10 yards, and catch and run, and he manages the run game. Like, he does that. He does what he's clearly a starting quarterback caliber of player, but like, there's so much brilliance in the in the rest of the division at the quarterback position. And the best player in football plays defense for the Rams. That being Aaron Donald. Like the NFC West can legitimate has 4 teams that like are legitimate Super Bowl title contenders this year.
Okay, at the top of your head, what other division, whether AFC or NFC, is anywhere as comparable in skill and talent?
The AFC North is probably the closest to it, with the Steelers always being good, the Ravens having Lamar Jackson, the Browns are getting better with Baker Mayfield. They won a playoff game last year. The Bengals just aren't good, and that brings them down. The other close one before Drew Brees retired, AFC South, and especially at the quarterback position, that's a ton of talent at the quarterback position, and also when the Carolina Panthers were good. Panthers were like, the Panthers, Saints, Bucks, and Falcons have all been to a Super Bowl in the last 7 years, or probably the last 10. I think is like all of those teams were pretty good, but right now the NFC West is clearly the most talented division.
Yeah, because I was going to say I probably disagree with the NFC North being in the conversation just because of the loss with Drew Brees. So I think the parity there with the Buccaneers is probably just not going to be there. So you're going to have Carolina is blah, and then who am I missing out of that? That's the Saints, the Bucks,
Panthers, and
this is the worst. How did we forget?
Why am I blanking? I don't know.
It should be obvious.
Atlanta.
And all right. So with the loss of Julio Jones, yes, they still got a lot of talent. They can always believe in that, Ryan. But I think the bigger point here, and what I guess is good to hear that you generally agree that the AFC North, I would also argue the AFC West a bit has enough talent. But that means our division should take us to playoffs. If we can dominate our division, that should be playoffs. And honestly, getting to the Super Bowl doesn't sound that hard. Of course, you have Aaron Rodgers, so that always makes things difficult. But I don't know. The AFC has a lot harder path to the Super Bowl than I think the NFC does this year for us, just considering that we're from the best division.
Well,
West is
best.
But
we're going to most likely the 49ers playoff path is, with only one bye, you have to win. You have to be you got to go with 17 games. You got to go 14-3 to even be in that conversation. And realistically, the Niners are probably going to drop 5 games or so, even at their best, right?
I'm calling 10-6. I feel like 10-6 is
it'd be 11-6 now. That's the thing, is the 17th game. They're gonna so I'm saying 12-5 is the best that they could do. I think 11-6 is completely realistic as well.
Yeah.
But my point is that's not going to get a
losses and 3 other.
That's not going to get a bye. Tampa Bay is too good. They got Tampa Bay is now has Tom Brady actually knowing the offense in the beginning of the season. They are going to win a lot of games in the division. I don't know exactly what their schedule looks like, but Tampa Bay is probably a really good shot at the 1 seed. Also, if anyone becomes competent in the NFC East, all of a sudden they've got 6 easy games. But all it takes is one of those teams become competent, and they have a terrible
Dallas
division.
With Dak back, which I want to go ahead and say I remember last year saying, "Oh, what if we tried to make a move on Dak?" And you're like, "Oh, there's no way he could play."
And then you've got in the North you've got Green Bay is probably going to win the division, and they're probably going to win it easily. So you've got realistically Tampa Bay, Green Bay, maybe someone out of the East competing for that 1 seed. I just don't see it coming out of the West, which means the Niners are going to have to win 3 games to get to Super Bowl, which means most likely they're going to have to beat Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Arizona. Or and Seattle, or LA or Seattle. They're gonna have to win 3 games against really tough teams. I don't. There's the path to the Super Bowl in the NFC is not easy for anyone. There's a lot of really good teams, and with 7 making the playoffs, you're basically guaranteeing that there's going to be some good teams or teams that are riding hot streaks in there. Hopefully, San Francisco is one of them, but it's. Getting there is going to be key, but the teams in the NFC playoffs are going to be legit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we should hit your most normal line that you had in every podcast, which is enough about real football.
I know about real football. Let's talk about fake football. Let me reshare the other screen that had the
divisions.
Yeah, let's go.
The new divisions, the Cal Poly bar or the slow bar, retired bar. Retired
bars. So yeah, here we go. We've got 3 divisions named after bars that are now closed in the greater or in the slow. All within the city limits. So we've got the Grad with Devin, Hunter, James, and Travis. Slow Brew with Antonio, Hoyt, yourself, Nabil, and Spencer. And then I'm in the Spikes division with Drew, Kevin, and Rocha. What's your first reaction to everything?
So at first I thought, cool. Antonio and I look like we could have some strength coming out. I'm only speaking as if I know that I've been good, but my last season, not great. But then you look, this is Hoyt's make or break. And I know Hoyt always is the butt of the joke when the pods start. But in this time, he has Kamara. He has a top 4 pick.
Yep.
He ideally should leave with a lot of talent, the draft with a lot of talent, and should be a very strong team. Spencer, got through his inaugural year, performed pretty well as a fantasy manager. Yeah. So now my division's actually seeming really difficult. And I need to stop making any jokes about Hoyt so that I can get some good juju here and hopefully see my way out of it. Otherwise, the Grad also having a lot of, I think I brought this up on the last call when we were making when the divisions were decided. The Grad also has a lot of winners, a lot of people who left with the title. In fact, everyone but, I thought that was Kevin for a second, but James carrying 2, having a 2-time title winner in there, it's got to be nerve-wracking. Someone who still has a lot of talent with keepers, and I think that's what I'm excited to see this year. I think my first reaction was, divisions are going to be fun because now we have to see these people twice a year.
Right. Yeah. I update on that, by the way. There's apparently not a setting on Yahoo to prioritize division opponents for your matchups. So what we're going to end up doing is we're not going to have division opponents in the first 3 weeks. Those will be randomly splattered throughout the season, but then the final 3 weeks of the schedule will be all division matchups. So you will face your division opponents at the end of the season when it counts. So lots of opportunity for teams to stay in it. I think a little bit longer because if you're a couple games back with 4 weeks to go, but you're guaranteed to play the team that you're chasing one more time. That gives you a lot more opportunity to catch up. But so the schedule won't be released until actually after the draft again, like we normally do. But you can know for sure you'll be playing your 3 division opponents in the last 3 weeks of the regular season. So 12, 13, 14. Just wanted to throw in that clerical update. But yeah. So there's two past champions in each division. You got James and Travis. James obviously has won it twice in the Grad. You've got Antonio and yourself, Nabil. Antonio also with 2 titles in Slow Brew division, and then me and Kevin are the 2 that have titles in Spikes. That was random that it came out that way, but I think it does. There's a lot of, I don't know, it's hard to say year to year, who's good, who's bad, especially when there's certain seasons that you just decide to, go and, build for in build mode rather than win now mode. It's kind of fun just to know who you're going to be competing against though, for me, knowing that I'll have 2 matches against Drew, Kevin, Rocha, just knowing that ahead of time is kind of nice to I don't know, get me excited for the season, knowing that that's through the guys that I'm going to be competing against. But as far as alignment goes, I'm not worried that anyone is too strong or too weak right now. It feels and we don't even have teams. It feels like it's balanced, and we'll be able to reassess that halfway through the season when, one league has 2 teams.
Even post draft, even
Yeah.
post draft, you will have a better idea of exactly what people came out of, who keepers were, which I think, I know we already talked about this being the activity after, but maybe as we're talking about keepers, looking at the divisions and using that as kind of like this is going to make that division much more interesting, right? And
let's take a look at the keepers. I've got.
Do you want to try that idea that I was kind of thinking we do 1 minute analysis on each team. We just blitz through, see if you have any kind of standouts, talk about how it could impact the year. Or not the year, but the division and the strength, whether or not, they trade during the window that opens tomorrow.
Trade window does open up tomorrow, which is good to know. So hopefully by the time you're listening to this, you've already had some good trade conversations going on with your fellow Splatty League members. So one other thing we want to do here, though, since we've got keepers pulled up, I also want to keep an eye on what's this?
Splatty board.
We'll keep an eye on the draft picks as well. I guess we'll have the screen be the available keepers, but the board I do have pulled up. I suggest you do it too. And if I need to bring it into screen, I can bring it into screen real quick. But here we go. Do you want to go first on Antonio, or do you want me to go first? Because then you can talk about you, and then when we get to.
Yeah, let me.
What would you do if you? Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up a timer because I think it'd be better if we don't. Well, no, screw it. Timers are for people who are more organized. So right off the board, I think you could just throw away David Johnson, Brandon Cooks. So you're looking at
absolutely
Chase Claypool, Dallas Goedert, Justin Jefferson. The scariest thing for Antonio being, I believe, the guy who has 2 first-round picks.
He is 5 and 10.
Cool. So he has 2 first-round picks. He can possibly leave likely with Justin Jefferson in the 10th. Okay, so now he's got a guy who most people are saying is the number 1 now there. Okay, well, that's terrifying. And that's also the guy who's in my division. Otherwise, it's you could go Dallas Goedert, the 11th round. You might even fall. I don't know if the hype is still high on him anymore. And Chase Claypool is one of the interesting ones, from Pittsburgh. I don't know what's happening in Pittsburgh. Do you know? Because I always think I still think it's Juju. I still think
Roethlisberger is going to come back, I think, for one more season. And if it's really a last dance type of season, I could just expect a lot of numbers all the way around. Like, he's just going to be slinging it. So I actually in Pittsburgh this year, because I think like Big Ben was literally just going to be out there like trying to get as many yards and as many touchdowns as he can. Like, not even a lot of interceptions too for Roethlisberger. Like, he'll be in full fuck it mode basically from the get-go, because he's possibly on the 3rd best team in the AFC North.
Yeah,
Bears can absolutely go on a run and win a Super Bowl this year. But I wouldn't expect them to by any means. So I'm good with any pass catcher in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think if I'm Antonio, Justin Jefferson is a huge steal at 10. And I'm probably leaning Chase Claypool, but going with Dallas Goedert is also a completely reasonable keeper selection out of Paz. And you know what? There might actually, I'm not high on Brandon Cooks, but there might be trade value there somewhere if someone else doesn't have a second keeper.
And absolutely, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Cooks is definitely picked up in the rule 3, right? Mm-hmm. Rule 5, whatever. Rule 9, whatever.
Unselected keepers draft.
Yeah. So I would say my only recommendation on this is someone who's made the mistake of keeping a tight end over another talented wide receiver. Chris Godwin's gone other places. DK Metcalf has gone other places. Yeah. I'm going to recommend go with the wide receiver.
Yeah. All right. That's way more than a minute. Let's move on to me. I've got a lot of keeper options. Nabil, what are your thoughts?
So right off the bat, take the guy who wants to play in the city that he just, stayed with. So Aaron Rodgers, I think, is someone to consider. 13 round. Right. That's probably, he probably isn't going to go that much. I never know what our league decides to do with quarterback. 13 is not bad, but then you look at CeeDee Lamb at 7. So I would say in our league, he probably pushes up a little bit earlier. So maybe around the 4th round for him normally. So there's good value there. Chris Godwin, you keep him.
Insane value with Chris Godwin. Yeah.
I would say the only difference here with what we talked about Chase Claypool is I don't know if Deontay Johnson is worth the 6th round. You get the immense value from 13 for Chase Claypool, but 6th round with Deontay Johnson and not knowing if he is the 1, 2, or 3 is difficult. Otherwise, I think you have a lot of potential keepers that you can look at. Waller in the 2nd, you can even consider. I don't know what your pick. I was actually trying to open that when you sent it my way, but I don't know if you had 2 picks, 2nd round picks might not be worth locking in. What people are saying is someone who's inching closer to that elite tight end status.
Yeah. I think for me, it really comes down to the value of having Rodgers and 13. Like, I'm not afraid to say to basically anyone, like, I'm keeping Rodgers at 13. He just won an MVP. He's got more control over the team. He's happier. He's got Randall Cobb back. Like legit, like Aaron Rodgers is probably the 1st or 2nd quarterback taken off the board, considering that Patrick Mahomes is also going to be kept by Rocha. Like, if I don't keep Rodgers, he's absolutely getting Rule 9. Like, why would you, like, a 13th round pick for possibly, like, the guy who might end up being the QB1 fantasy wise this year, like, probably won't be, just because he doesn't get as much rushing yards as like Lamar or Mahomes do. But like, as far as pure passing numbers, absolutely, like, that's just too much value there. Like, I'm keeping Rodgers.
But with that too, right? He has 1 year, a 1-year contract, right? This is going to be, let me show you my BDE and just send it. The only difference between him and Roethlisberger at this point is that Aaron Rodgers is still good.
Right, exactly. And kind of look at it, there's some debate now for me. Like, do I go CeeDee Lamb? Do I go Chris Godwin? Which of these guys is the most amount of value? Obviously, Fournette in the 1's not happening. Hines in the 11th, like, to me, like, I want to get someone I know I'm going to slot in to start. Chris Godwin is definitely going to be starter and is going to be picked in redraft leagues and a lot higher round than the 8th. So I'm probably leaning towards Godwin, but like, I've got CeeDee Lamb, Deontay Johnson, Emmanuel Sanders, even Jamal Williams, even like, there's guys that I need to like do something with, because I feel like a lot of my team is going to get Rule 9. But pure value right now, unless something else changes in training camp, Aaron Rodgers is a lock in, and most likely Chris Godwin, just to keep that train going. But I've got, obviously, like, a lot of, even Sammy Watkins in the 9th, like, is worth trying to potentially trade for, or because most likely that's someone's going to bid on him in Rule 9. So
I think that's the hard thing that we're getting at, and this would be I taking a look at the list previously, and I'm going to follow up with one other thing after this is most teams this year have solid keepers, and so for the one time in a long time, having a lot isn't necessarily the best, but this does make for a chance to, maybe someone who's on the fence, if you can, explain to the other league members why your player is of better value than their potential keeper, this is the time to start politicking.
Yeah, and the angle I'm going to take a lot this year potentially, and looking at everyone else, is like, hey, your player might be a little bit better, but look how much far, like, your keeper is in the 4th round, and I've got this guy in the 8th or whatever. Like it might be a better player, but like, do you want to get more value out of that pick? That's kind of the angle that I need to take, I think, because you're right. There's a lot, like, I think we all have done a better job of having keepers, like good options on our roster, which is part of the reason why I think we're ready to move to adding a 3rd keeper into the 2022 draft, because we're all doing a little bit better of a job of just like managing the value of our keepers.
We're dumping less and dealing more. That's what this shows. When you have this many keepers that are talented, I think that's what that kind of proves. And before we move to Devin quickly, I do want to say, Chris, you're okay with just explaining your strategy there, right? I can cut that all out if you need, because
no.
I want to say, like, I think we're all at the point, like, even with when I share my stuff.
Yeah.
When I share my stuff, we talk about it with everyone anyway,
Yeah, I don't think it's a secret for me. Like I now what I value the rest of my roster as far as trading pieces go, like that's individual discussions. But like I don't think it's a secret that I'm like my guess is if you looked at my keepers, 9 out of 12 people would have also said I'd probably keep Rodgers and Godwin. Like I don't think that's a secret. Maybe I'm wrong, but like Rodgers is a ton of value. Godwin is, you know, gonna be on
He's the most proven talent.
I know he's
over
not
your other wide
necessarily.
receivers.
I know he's not necessarily the number one receiver there with Mike Evans, but like, dude's gonna catch a lot of balls and have some big games and score a lot of touchdowns. Like, and then getting that in the 8th round is huge.
Agreed.
Yeah, let's talk about Devin though. Devin is actually one of the guys who does not have a ton of keepers.
Quality over quantity, man. Quality over quantity.
But they are good quality because there's no way he doesn't keep George Kittle, right?
Nah, George Kittle's trash. You should drop him. You can't see my picture right now, but of course you got that. That has to be the hands down. Devin actually has I think, probably the hardest decision after that, right?
Which is what?
And well, I think AJ Brown, Chris Carson, and Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett might have the most value. The hard part is AJ Brown's still talented. Yes, Julio Jones is there, but that's probably going to help AJ Brown more. He's going to get better quality catches, more passes that are a lot less contested. And then you have Chris Carson, who, is still fine. There's still not that much competition in Seattle, and a 3rd round value. So I think it's tough because I think it is a difficult decision between the 3 others.
Yeah. For me, it's I don't think I would go with AJ Brown, but it's a tough decision between Carson and Lockett, which is why I asked you. And really why I think it's tough between those two is I don't think AJ Brown is a ton of value in the 3rd round. I think that's like there's a chance that that's about where he's going in redraft leagues.
Exactly.
But I don't know that that's like there's a ton of like upside that you want to lock yourself into AJ Brown before the draft. Like positionally wise, Chris Carson probably makes the most sense just to get a starting running back locked. However, Tyler Lockett in the 7th round is pretty good value. So that's where it kind of comes down to like, okay, like are you just going for pure value, or are you looking to, to sew up like one of your 2 starting running backs with your 3rd round pick? Devin has the 8th pick of the draft, which is kind of usually where the elite running backs are gone. And you're looking at, one of the top receivers. So most likely he's going to need more help at the running back position, which is why I would lean Carson for him, but I could totally understand going Lockett. To me, Brown is just not like, I'd rather have AJ Brown.
You're looking at the value. If it means anything, he has 2 7s.
I'd rather, I'd rather go Lockett just because it's 4 rounds later over AJ Brown. Like
that's fair. And I would say
better value
generally in the kind of same tier because, and this is going to be perfect because I think it's going to tie us to the next person anyway, is who says that Tyler Lockett's not the number 1 over DK, right? DK, yes, is the younger, more talent, but like Tyler Lockett was also a fantastic wide receiver the year before.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So there's nothing saying that he's not, if he locks in a wide receiver at the 1, takes Tyler Lockett, you get 2 elite wide receivers or 2 great wide receivers that can win you that positional battle against other opponents. You have Kittle, guarantee, top 3 generally. Mm-hmm. Then he can literally focus on not necessarily a 0 RB, but then he's got the, 2nd and 3rd, he can pick up, middle tier running backs that can be those consistent 10 to 11 point scorers.
Mm-hmm.
So into Drew.
Yeah. Into Drew, what are you thinking on Drew?
I actually want to I want to send the question back to you quickly here and just say what you said about Aaron Rodgers. Is that not the same thing to consider with Russell Wilson?
To me, it's the exact same thing. If I'm Drew, I'm keeping Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I agree. And what he can sit with is a pretty stack of DK and Russell, just guaranteed points.
That's probably what I do too. If I'm Drew, and I'm looking maybe to move Mark Andrews because there's a chance that someone else might want to pick up that tight end. But again, a lot of people just have a lot of keepers. In most years, I'm trying to move Mark Andrews and DJ Moore. I think there's still value there, but I think if I'm Drew, I'm locking myself into that stack with Metcalf and Wilson.
So I'm looking at Drew's draft board. He doesn't have a first round pick, so he has a 2-3 and then two 4s. So he has a 2, a 3, and 2 4s. Drew, if you actually ever listen to this, consider Jonathan Taylor a traded pick to someone in the back of the draft. This is a guy that apparently on draft boards these days is jumping into that 6, 7, 8 running back off the board. There's no reason that doesn't give immense value to someone like Hunter, Travis, and James to pick up as a keeper. Or you save them for the Rule 9, right? And then that's a message to, Hunter, Travis, James, even Devin at 8 to consider using your first round pick as just seeing that there is a guy out there with a first round pick, which does match the value that he's probably currently at.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment, fair idea.
He does have Stephon Diggs at 4 though, which I just noticed.
Yeah, is Diggs that much better than Metcalf to go like that's to me? I think the extra round makes Metcalf. It seems silly, but like it makes it worth it.
But I would say that Stephon Diggs had a more elite season last year, and has no other competition.
Yeah, true.
So I mean. Tough decision, but great trade. Like he has got a lot of he has some value in trading.
Yeah. He definitely he has options, and I think it'd be silly just to. I think if I'm Drew, primarily I'm looking at Metcalf, Wilson, but like I don't. I see that there's not like a wrong way to do it because he does have options. Let's talk about Hoyt because he is definitely one of the more interesting people as far as his keeper selections go. I had to put a new color so I don't know if you've seen this. They're basically, someone's been kept once, someone's been kept twice, someone's been kept 3 times. So this is the 4th season that Hoyt will have Kamara on his roster coming after the draft, and he's had him the whole time. Who else does he keep?
So looking at kind of opposite of Devin there. This is one of those with quantity with okay quality. I don't think there's anything. There's a lot of great options here. I already kind of looked at it and took 4 off what I'm looking at there. So my board for Hoyt would be either Kamara, which I think is a locked in obvious one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Keenan Allen at 3 if you just want to lock in a wide receiver. The problem is if he does that, he gets the 1st or the 3rd pick in the draft overall. If he uses his 3rd round keeper, then he doesn't pick until 5. So at least he locks in, can he even keep? Oh, so he's kind of locked there because
he has no 2nd round pick.
So he actually will not pick. He picks in the 1st round and the 5th round because no matter what, he's keeping Kamara. So
he's keeping Kamara. He should definitely try to move back, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get a 2nd or a 4th or another pick before that 5th round. So yeah, he's got Kamara. He's got a top 3 pick. And then what?
Keep Marquise Brown then? Because I mean, it sucks because I don't think he's necessarily. I think the hype on him has dropped, but at least you get maybe your wide receiver 2 or 3.
So I don't know.
Later in the draft.
I don't know. There's an argument to be made that if you believe Roethlisberger can play, that there's some value there too. But I just don't think it's worth locking. In Hoyt's situation, it's way different than mine. Because Hoyt doesn't have as many higher picks, so I don't necessarily think locking into Roethlisberger is as much of a slam, just because it's late, is as much of a slam dunk as like a Wilson or Rodgers. So probably not Ben Roethlisberger. But yeah, I kind of lean towards getting either Latavius Murray or Marquise Brown just for the value. Marquise Brown being a startable receiver in the 12th round is probably worth it. But Hoyt has picks in the 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th rounds. He does not have a 2, 4, or 6.
Yeah, so he's
So
would you say there's value in just trading
realistically,
Kamara now to get picks?
I I think he's gonna probably just roll with having Kamara, but I I wouldn't be shocked if Kamara does get moved, and I'm not trying to tamper here, Hoyt, but like keep your options open, because that's a big piece that you can get to a lot more pieces. When I don't know that Hoyt is actually set up to build a team around Kamara again, just based on the lack of picks that he has, and that's not like
No, we're not attacking anybody.
I'm just saying, like, there's a chance that the better play is trading Kamara for something. What I don't know. Like, that's up to Hoy try to figure out what it is. Like, I'm happy with what I have. I'm not trying to even like. I don't think that I'm a good trade partner for Hoyt, but I think someone else out there might go fishing.
I think the other thing to consider,
the second and fourth round.
The other thing to consider is Kamara is in the top 4. Right. If this was a redraft league, right? Kamara's in the top 4, right? With was it Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Cook, and I'm missing someone else. He can get that level of talent. He's the 3rd pick, right? The 2 options right now to get more picks is move back in the draft or move back in the first round or trade Kamara. And right now, I think that is the hardest decision to make. Otherwise, if he keeps Kamara, he goes running back. He doesn't get his wide receiver in the 5th round. And maybe this is something we revisit later on.
Mm-hmm.
But who is picked up in the 5th? You're missing a lot of elite talent when it comes to wide receivers back in the 5th. So I think we can agree that Hoyt has the most interesting pre-keeper selection. As soon as August 1st starts, either everyone's going to flood to him after maybe hearing us talk about this, or he needs to start shooting out messages. And, I think he's got to have diamond hands, he's gotta, when I mean that, I mean, he can't take the first good offer, because I would say that all of us could be interested in.
It's going to be a long. I feel like the Kamara sweepstakes, if Hoyt does want to trade him, should take us like deep into August. Like, it should not be something done immediately. Like, a lot of people are going to move around a little bit here, a little bit there. Like, you've got the big prize. If you're Hoyt, you've got the big prize. If you want to trade him, don't take the first offer. Don't take the second offer. Like, you're gonna like that could be the blockbuster trade of the summer. Is where does Kamara end up? Unless Hoyt decides, hey, fuck it, I'm going all in. I'm gonna get 2 top 4 running backs. Like, right, he's got the 3rd pick. He's got Kamara, and just kind of roll, like, just hope that they both stay healthy and build around that. Like, he's got, like, that is also a completely legitimate option for Hoyt, is Kamara, and then Marquise Brown or even Latavius Murray. Like, like Marquise Brown probably is the better choice, just because again of the round value. And then, like, just try to get a lot of, like, good pass catchers, like, pick a younger quarterback up, that you're going to make a bet on. And yeah, like, Hoyt's got options. He doesn't have to trade Kamara, but I do think it would be interesting to see what kinds of offers he gets.
I thought one more thing for Hoyt. Okay. You trade back your 3rd round pick to one of those who are, in the 10, 11, 12 of the first round.
Would be Travis or James.
You move your 3rd. Oh, I guess you can't move his 3rd. You figure out a way to turn your 5th into a 2nd with that, right? Maybe that's a lot of back end kind of switches, or you switch your players around and you win the hell out of the Rule 9 draft. Like, you gotta do your research on that, because I think there's a lot of talent just overall with our keepers that are in the teens or 8th, 9th round. That's where Hoyt has to dominate to form his team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Too much Hoyt.
Someone who probably is an actual pretty good trade partner for Hoyt, because Hunter has a ton of picks, 2 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th. If I'm Hunter, I'm definitely keeping Lamar Jackson, just because of that talent in the double-digit round. That's worth it. But is Gibson worth a 5th? Is Harris worth an 8th? Is DJ Dallas worth a 15th? What are you doing? Or I guess we've also got Scary Terry. Sorry, I didn't have that highlighted.
I'm gonna just go ahead and say it here. I bet you he trades Lamar Jackson. Okay, I know. I agree. I agree. He should keep him, but there's no way he could give up Terry Terry, whatever it is, the
Yeah.
McLaren, right? Because you literally threw your last season away for Terry McLaurin. So
Yeah. What did
so, but I do think he's got like Hunter, you got to make you got to win this because he's got a ton of picks in the early parts of this draft, as well as a lot of talent to trade. I do think Gibson is someone who can produce, who is on people's radars for sure. I think he's a second round or third round in redraft. So there's a lot of
right.
talent there. Damian Harris, another name who's kind of shooting up the regular redraft boards. So that's a lot of value at an 8. And then obviously Lamar Jackson and Terry McLaurin. So those are the pieces that he has to figure out. I wouldn't be shocked. He's already tried to deal Lamar Jackson out before. I wouldn't doubt that he's going to do it again. I feel he has to stay with Terry, whatever. I have never called him that in my life, but I think the big thing
I do
there
think yes, yeah. I feel stupid for missing him because I forgot like that clearly was a like I think he goes with Lamar and Terry for those values. But yeah, Hunter loves trading, so to think that like this that he's just going to keep the two guys that make the most sense, it's just incorrect. Like he'll definitely move quite a bit.
He could be one of those guys with all those for like, second, third, fourth rounds that he immediately jumps on the phone with Hoyt.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was when we were saying don't take the first offer. I think those two might have a lot of conversations about this because
I think Hunter they make great partners.
Yeah, Hunter can give up some of those mid picks and not lose much if it means getting Kamara or even moving his 9th pick to the 3rd pick. And then I think Hunter is a team to be scared of. And I don't know who that puts his division with, but I don't know if you got those. You want to go those division alignments quickly and just see who's in Hunter's? Are you with Hunter?
No, it's
that becomes
James Travis.
That becomes much scarier if you're in the grad.
Yeah, it really does. Devin, James, and Travis all with pretty moderate pick, like kind of middle of the road as far as picks. They all are picking near each other actually at 8, 11, 12, or 8, 9.
Oh, what are the chances?
Well, like only Drew is in the middle of them, at least when he hasn't traded a pick away. Like it is, but just kind of you can Devin doesn't have as many picks as Hunter does it early on, but like he's got he gets him back in 7th and 8th. There isn't necessarily one breakaway person in that division who has who other than Hunter. Like Hunter has a kind of like a chance to be like a breakaway, like gets the most talent out of the draft, but it's not like Devin, Travis, or James are like behind the 8 ball with having given up a lot of picks or anything like that. Yeah, right. Devin doesn't have a 4th, but like it's not terrible. Like they're pretty on par for what's going to happen.
And Matthew Barrio says you don't win your league at the draft anyway, right. But it'll be fun because this will definitely be a kid in the candy shop with Hunter just in those first couple rounds.
Yes. Let's keep on rolling with James. What are you doing if you're James?
Yeah, I'm looking at his draft board right now. You trade your 5-12 back into a 6th round, just move with it one of the 6-1s or 6-2. Well, I guess he has a 6-1. So, you talk to people in your division who probably don't want you to do this, but you move that 5-12 back, maybe move a couple rounds later, and you keep Calvin Ridley and you keep Nick Chubb. And honestly, I think that's it.
Get another 6, and so you can keep both of them. Yeah. Because you can move that. You could use that
5-12 is a 6. So
you could use that as the pick, but you could probably trade that back into the 6th round, get somebody. I think that's probably about right. Obviously, Watson is not really an option at the 5th round. Ayuk at 11th is interesting, but realistically, Chubb and Ridley probably provide just more consistency than an Ayuk. So I think
Chubb's a 1st, Calvin's a 2nd or a 3rd.
Right, like Ayuk could have another breakout year, but like I'm not necessarily thinking that going that far back is worth that value of the guaranteed Calvin Ridley like being just a great receiving option, where Ayuk is maybe a good one. Like at some point, you do have to get guys that you want to start in your roster, and Ridley is that, where Ayuk isn't. Let's talk about Kevin, because I do want to kind of start rolling through these a little bit faster. Kevin's got a lot of options. What's interesting to me is like Kevin potentially has Mike Evans there in the second round as the highest round to keep anyone in the league. The problem is Kevin does not have a second round draft pick. So he does not actually have an ability right now, unless he wants to use pick 1.4 to keep either Robinson or Mike Evans. But I do think Mike Evans is worth that value, especially if you can move back into the second round. So currently, Rocha's got the last pick in the second. Please don't trade Mike Evans to Rocha. He's already going to get Christian McCaffrey and have Patrick Mahomes. And haven't gotten and Aaron Jones probably. Haven't gotten to him yet, but
so you say Mike Evans over Allen Robinson? Allen Robinson is the clear-cut number one on his team. Mike Evans, he's touchdown dependent. He's got AB there now for a second year. He's got Chris Godwin. He's got a lot more.
Who's going to score more points? Like, which team do you think? Because
hasn't Allen Robinson outperformed Mike Evans the last 2 years in fantasy?
Is Robinson still in Jacksonville?
Oh, hell no. He's a Bear. He's been a Bear.
Okay, great. So he's got a rookie or the red rifle thrown to him. Are the Bears going to score more points than the Buccaneers?
I mean, you're playing up.
Are the Bears going to get more yards than the Buccaneers? Like, yeah, Robinson's the cleared number one, but that means he's always going to get the best cornerback on him. Like, to me, I'd way rather have, like, I know that there's a lot of mouths to feed in Tampa Bay, but I'd still way rather have Mike Evans over in my draft board. I'm taking Mike Evans over Allen Robinson.
Okay, let me just tell you the stats for Allen Robinson in Chicago for the last 2 years. He had 98 receptions, 1,147 yards, and 7 touchdowns. The last year he had 102 catches, 1,250 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's where I can pull up Mike Evans real quick, but I just think fantasy-wise, it doesn't. Yes, who's going to score more? You're right, Tampa Bay. But you have a lot more chances for those scores to be, stolen by someone else in Tampa Bay than the Bears. I think we're saying the same thing, right? Which is, it'd be interesting to keep one of those two, but how do you get into the second round to keep? Otherwise, I think Kevin has a lot of, potential keepers. Maybe not the most value.
Yeah. So Mike Evans, because he didn't get to his stats in 2019, had 67 catches, so less, but for 1,157 yards and 8 touchdowns. Last year, 70 catches for 1,006 yards and 13 touchdowns.
So that's where we're talking yards versus.
Well, in PPR, like, there's definitely some advantage to Robinson getting just fed over and over. I'll admit that, but
you have the touchdown difference. Mike Evans is a monster.
I can't imagine that the Bucs are going to get worse. And I know that, and to me, like, touchdown dependent just means that they're throwing the ball to him when they're trying to score.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree. I just say I think we're both saying there's a wide receiver one that's sitting in the second round for him, right? In the end, whether
and then
choose Evans or Allen, it just makes the Rule 9 more fun.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think one of those guys gets Rule 9. Like, I think someone is going to be happy with getting them in round 2, whether it's in the regular draft or in the Rule 9 draft. We'll find out. Also, probably there's a case for Josh Allen to be kept.
I think for the whole reason that you said about Aaron Rodgers and stuff is, I think you take Josh Allen. It's kind of the same argument with Lamar Jackson as well. James Conner is in Arizona. I think he has a chance to take it from Chase Edmonds, but I think if I were him, I think you keep Conner over Chase Edmonds. I'll tell you that, just because of the fact that there's more value at whoever steals the one.
Right. Let's go to your own team, Nabil. You definitely don't have to talk about your strategy if you don't want to.
I don't have very much strategy here. I'm keeping Eckler in the second, and I'm keeping Kamara or Kamir. Wow, what Kareem Hunt in the sixth,
which is what I would have suggested doing. How are you picks wise? Are you lined up to be able to do that well?
Yes. So I have 2 second-round picks as well as
one of them. Yeah. One of them is 2.10, so you could probably try to move that pick. Yeah, you don't even have to move that. I mean, you're trading with Hunter. Will here's the thing: it's Hunter and Rocha are behind you, but it doesn't actually help Hunter out to move back one slot, and have you move up really like, or to move up in front of you, other than to block Rocha from doing the same thing and flip flopping him. So there's not like not a ton that you can do at 2 to move back, but Eckler at that spot is a great selection, and so is Kareem Hunt in the 6th. So yeah, you're golden.
Yeah, I think that part has been pretty much thought out. I mean, you never know. Judy can step up. Jared Cook's on a new team. I'm not really that excited. Fuller's on a new team. Not excited.
Yeah,
I'm bummed about Drake a little bit going to the Raiders, but I mean, hey, it is what it is. He didn't really help me last year.
Let's go to Rocha's roster then. I think I mean, it's kind of crazy thinking that you're
go all the way down to Kelsey.
Oh geez, I don't know why I stopped. It's kind of crazy thinking you might stop at or that you might use your keeper on a 5th round quarterback, but Mahomes is that good where I could imagine that being a pretty easy selection for Rocha. And then Aaron Jones is also probably just, again, like, even though I've talked about value quite a bit, there's also value in having the best player at the position with Mahomes and one of the best players at the position with Aaron Jones. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going with Jones and Mahomes. He's honestly, Travis Kelce, if Rocha had fallen back in the draft order, if you had not gotten the 1st overall pick, then Kelce becomes an option to keep if you're in the back half of the draft. So that's a trade piece potentially for him, but I don't think, for me, like, I don't think there's any other option than Jones and Mahomes. What about you?
The only other name is Darrell Henderson with Cam Akers now out.
Yeah,
Darrell Henderson in the 10th. People are jumping him up the boards because of that injury, but I agree. That's. I
just think, I know I've talked a lot.
He should trade. He should probably trade Kelce. It again, one of those in the back who maybe don't have as many keepers, or you're questioning if you can be the 1-9, 110, 111, or 112 and pick up Kelce as a 1st round keeper. I mean, again, you try to win as many positions as you can. Kelsey's one of those guarantees. Though it'd be nice if he had that stack. So maybe he does try to get more early round picks with his 1-1 selection, keep Kelce and Mahomes. Mm-hmm. And
no 3rd round pick for Rocha. That belongs to James. James got quite a steal getting the 3.1 pick. Definitely something to think about. Let's move on though to Spencer. Spencer, obviously you got to keep Harrison Butker, right? Honestly, like, I know Tom Brady doesn't necessarily put up great fantasy numbers, but there might be a lot of value there again at 12.
I think he's jumped. I think if you look at rankings, I mean, he performed. I mean, I made that trade with him, and I think having him in the 12th is it's a less pretty Russell Wilson. Except I guess you're not going to get the rushing numbers, but we talked about all the weapons he has, so the touchdown numbers are probably rather high. He's good
for a couple QB sneak touchdowns a year, though.
I mean,
like Brady is like,
but
yeah. No, I mean, if you look at Brady's like rushing stats every year, like he averages like 2 yards per carry or 1 yard per carry, but like with a couple of touchdowns. Like Belichick was never afraid to just be like, snap the ball. Like, what's the simplest way we can get in the end zone? Like, just snap it and have Tom fall forward for a yard. Yeah, let's do it. Like, for a 1st down, for a touchdown. Like, the 1st down ones don't obviously really help you fantasy wise, but so I don't know. Spencer's probably got the most work to do as far as acquiring.
Well, I think what's great is this opens up Yeah. Oh, well, damn. Spencer's also missing a second round pick and a fourth round pick. So what's hard is how do you make your moves? One of them, you trade out of the two, 1, 2, try to move that either that 3 into a 2 and that 5 into a 4 or something like that. Or you just do what you can to wheel and deal and try to find a good keeper. Because right now, the only other one I would say on his list to even consider, which is not Buckner, is Robbie Anderson, who
Yeah, I think
actually
so.
excelled really well in Carolina, and to have him in the 14th, you
Yeah,
can go really RB heavy, kind of get a number 2 locked in maybe. And
yeah, that's that value that I've talked about a ton. Like that, just getting him that late is really worth it. Like, and then last but not least, we got Travis, our returning champ. Didn't quite empty the tank as far as keepers to get his title, but didn't leave himself with a ton to work with. Christian Kirk is probably the play that's still good value again at double digits, but I'm not really sure who he goes with for the second one. Knowing Travis, and since he already got a title, maybe he trolls us all and keeps Justin Tucker. I would not be surprised if that happens. I would think I probably would go either with maybe
I think he
Montgomery.
keeps
That
one.
seems kind of early, but Kyler Murray. What would you do?
He keeps Kyler Murray and then he looks for a trade because at this point, he also has the most uneventful 7 rounds because he didn't trade any picks in those early rounds. I don't even know if he
Correct.
traded. Did he trade any picks at all?
He
Yeah,
has
he
his
traded a couple on the back end.
some, but not much. His first
It
pick
looks
that he
like
traded away was
people probably took players from him. Otherwise, yeah, I think he takes Murray. I think it's less value. Kyler Murray would probably go in our league around the 8th, but
I think Kyler Murray gets drafted. I think if he doesn't keep Kyler Murray, then someone picks him up in Rule 9.
yeah.
I think
So
Kyler Murray gets, so like that's
I think you keep him, and otherwise you're going in with either one keeper. Or you find a way to trade for someone who maybe has like a 4, 5, 6 keeper that they don't want,
right.
and just or again having the 111. Consider just talks. I don't know exactly what you do, but you consider some talks for someone like Travis Kelce, or I forget there was another first rounder that I had mentioned, but
I mean, or like the Evans or
Jonathan Taylor with Drew. You know what I mean? Like get lock in like
cool. Well, there's just one. Yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to just kind of point out. I think that is just kind of interesting note on the draft. We all kind of got pretty lucky as far as those of us who are not in the top 4, like didn't win out on a top 4 pick. Rocha, Spencer, Hoyt, Kevin happen to be the 3 people or the 4 people who either don't have a second round pick or don't have a third in the case of Rocha, which basically means as much as like they each have a top 4 pick, like it's crazy to me how important those are all going to be. Because essentially, I mean, Rocha, yes, has the second, not this third, but like it's the last pick of the second round. Like essentially, none of them have a second round pick. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that shakes out then, like which running backs go, or maybe it's, one of the top receivers that go in those first 4 picks. But we all got kind of lucky that, it was like Antonio didn't get the 1 and the 2, or that like, and I know Antonio definitely, getting, 4 picks in the first 21 is huge, but just want to point out that kind of little quirk. I thought it was interesting. It definitely is going to make for, I think, a pretty balanced draft going in, at least before keepers and Rule 9 and everything. But yeah, that was a great idea, Nabil, on breaking down both the divisions and kind of everyone's keepers. Good luck to everyone with trades starting by the time you listen now or tomorrow. But yeah, Nabil, anything else you wanted to close us out with?
No, I actually didn't notice that on the draft board, but as always, boys, I'm excited. Even though I'm pretty locked in with my keepers, I like to wheel and deal. So look forward to a lot of probably round swaps. I think that's kind of where I love to play around. So otherwise, enjoy, stay safe. Bye.
Bye. See you next time, everybody.